It's a little dangerous for me to share it because I know how many business people follow you and how many entrepreneurs, but I'm going to share it because it's my truth. The key piece is this. A lot of business builders, a lot of athletes think that it's work harder to achieve more. Well, that's been debunked by science. People's phones are costing them their fortune. You can play with your phone, or you can be monomaniacally focused on being a history maker and legendary. You don't get to do both. I want to remind people of who they truly are. And when they see Nelson Mandela or Oprah Winfrey, they say, they did it. But legendary is simply a testimony to ordinary people who thought differently, felt differently, and did different things, and thereby became who they were. And if they can do it, I can do it if I go all in. The human brain has a phenomenon called transient hypofrontality. The neocortex, as you know, it's the seat of thinking. It's our monkey mind, it's all the chattering, it's the stuff that says, Tom, you can't do it, Robin, you can't do it, what would they think? What if I fail? What if I get laughed at? That's all the neocortex. It's the crown jewel of brain development. Not our primitive brain, crown jewel. But there's no genius in there. Now here's what I mean. When we get away from distraction and we find our Menlo Park, or we go work in a quiet place and we get lost, the neocortex actually shuts down. That's why it's called transient hypofrontality. For a short period of time, our thinking shuts down. The whole model is in the book. And we actually go from brain waves at beta, down to alpha, down to theta, and maybe even delta. And we stop thinking and we go into flow. In other words, the advanced minds of the world, the great geniuses, Galileo, Da Vinci, Steve Jobs, they weren't in the neocortex. They got away from the world for bursts of time, which allowed them to access the human capability we all have to get into flow state and access insights that they went out in the world and then executed on with a world-class team, which totally changed the game. The very nature of being a disruptor and a leader means you're not a follower. And if you're not a follower, then you're not buying the Kool-Aid that society sells you. If you're not a follower, you're not like this all the time looking for likes. If you're not a follower, you dress the way you want to dress. If people criticize you, yeah, they criticize all the great ones. 5 a.m. Weird. Who does that? Why not sleep? Leaders have to be willing not to be followers. It all starts with who you are, because you'll never rise any higher than what's going on within you. Before the sun rises is the time of least distraction. Before the sun rises, where you can build intimacy and fluency with what you want to stand for in your day. Before the sun rises, the luxury and tranquility of the early morning hours, you can do that deep inner work that will allow you to go out in the world and play at your best. So what the 20-20-20 formula is simply this. There's 3 pockets. The first pocket is move, 5 to 5-20. And you get into the sweaty exercise because, like I mentioned, it releases neurotransmitters, it reduces the cortisol, increases your metabolic rate, which gives you more energy. So now it's 5-20. Fundamentally, you feel different. You have energy. Your state is strong. You've got a fire in your belly, and you've accelerated your focus. 5-20 to 5-40 is the second pocket of the 20-20-20 formula, which is reflect. We live in a world where a lot of people are busy being busy, but what's the point of being busy around climbing the wrong Mount Everests? And so clarity is one of the DNAs of mastery. You know this. If you talk to the titans of industry and you talk to the people really getting traction around their ambition, these are people who have a monomaniacal focus on the few things that matter. They have an obsession bordering on a possession around the few priorities they want to build their life around. And so 5-20 to 5-40, the second pocket, you write in a journal. You meditate. You visualize. You do what I call in the book a blueprint for a beautiful day. Or you just sit in solitude and you think and you ponder and you reflect. And then the final pocket is 5:40 to 6 o'clock, and this is the victory hour. The final pocket is grow. One of the keys to epic performance is a relentless commitment to daily growth. The premise is basically this: as you begin your day, so you handcraft the rest of your day. And if you have consistently great days, you're going to have consistently great weeks, quarters, year, and a lifetime. So your days are life in miniature, and you got to get those mornings calibrated if you really want to win. We are built to progress. We know that the human brain craves novelty. And we are most alive, we have the most energy, we are most intimate with our best selves when we're progressing towards our mighty mission. Everyone's talking about mindset, but mindset is just your belief system, it's just your psychology. It's very important, but that's 25% of the personal mastery equation. The second piece is your heart set, and I worked on that. Purifying your heart, that's your emotionality, not just your psychology. You're never gonna make history, dominate your domain, and handcraft a world-class life if you've got a great psychology, but you're carrying the pain and sadness, disappointment and trauma of the past. Your health set. Don't die. If you want to change the world, like dead people don't change the world. So health set. Biohacking. There's a whole chapter on recovery and the essentialness of sleep. So really getting your health set right, but there's a fourth interior empire that I worked on that allowed me to go out in the world and pursue my magic. So it's not just mindset, and it's not just heart set, and it's not just health set, it's soul set. And soul set has nothing to do with religion. Soul set is about working on your character. So you re-access your nobility and your bravery and your authenticity and your decency. And you find a cause that's larger than your life. So when you go out in the world every single morning, people might ridicule you because every genius is ridiculed before they're revered. People might throw stones at you, but you use them to build monuments of mastery. People might not understand you because any disruptor is going to be misunderstood. And even if you're an army of one, a Galileo or a Steve Jobs or Phil Knight, you continue at all costs. I think what's happened on the planet right now is there's been a great seduction and a great brainwashing. When we are kids, we want to be astronauts. We want to be billionaires. We want to be history makers. We want to do all our dreams. And then we stand in awe and wonder, and we're full of curiosity, and we're loving, and we're passionate, and we're strong. We're not afraid to be ourselves. But as we leave the perfection of childhood, the hypnosis and the brainwashing begins. Our well-intentioned parents say, oh, you want to be an astronaut? You want to start a business when you grow up? You want to paint like Jean-Michel Basquiat? Be reasonable. And George Bernard Shaw said it better than I ever could. He said, the reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in adapting the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. Our parents give us limitation based on their limited psychology and their emotional patterns that they learned from their parents. Then we go to school and we're taught to live in a box, think in a box, dress like everyone else. Don't sing too loudly, don't dream too big, don't be too passionate. And then our peers do the same thing to us. And then society says, oh, genius is the realm of genetics, not everyday people, which has been dismissed by some very good science. You know, I mean, the 10,000-hour rule that we all know from Florida State University professor Anders Ericsson, it just confirms so much. We live in a world that suggests the doorway to success swings outward. If you build the business, if you get the jet, if you get the money, if you get the cars, if you get the beautiful spouse, then you're going to be happy. I know mindsets, I know rituals and routines, I have systems. And it's not just go out there and live your dream and be happy, happy, happy. I mean, the book shares a lot of my methodology, the twin cycles of elite performance, the 90-90-1 rule, the second wind workout, the 2 massage protocol, the 20-20. These have worked for my clients for years.